So speaking of dinosaurs, Julie likes the song "Everybody Walk the Dinosaur" by Was Not Was, right? Which
Right.
we heard in Tammy and the T-Rex, right?
Right.
She's like, "That's a good song, but everything like it on Pandora is nothing like it."
Yeah, it's like
Like,
I know it's a good song. I like it. Probably because of the lyrics.
yeah, exactly. And
Let's see, what's the other immediate song I'm thinking of that for that? It's was it Grease and Cannibals, Prehistoric Animals?
yeah, shriek back.
Yes. So if I were making like a playlist based on like first on that song, then that would be the next song, and then I'd be looking for other stuff along but it would not be because they sound anything alike. They don't
Right.
sound alike. They are
Yeah.
alike because humans, we're not just an algorithm.
Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric.
I'm Will.
Today, we are going back to 1940 for the movie 1 Million BC, a Hal Roach production. But before we get into that, what have you been watching or listening to or anything like that?
All right, all right, all right, all right. So, uh, well, my geek brother at work was like, "Man, so what do you think of Secret Level?" And I'm like, "I still haven't watched it." He's like, "You gotta watch that so I can talk to you about it." So, and he's like, "Also, the very first one is D&D," and so I watched it, and then I watched it again, and I don't do that, but I'm like, I need to watch it again so I can watch it with Becca, and I will just say, uh, brilliant. It's like, look, we can do short animations. They're for games. They are de facto also ads for the games because there's things I'm like, I didn't know. I mean, I'm not a video game player, right? Because that's what Secret Level's all about. It's all about video games, mostly though D&D is in there, and of course there's lots of D&D games, but it's by the same people who do Love and Robots, Love Death Robots. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So but like, it's these very small, short pieces, right? And the thing is, they tell a little story, um, but they pretty much always they're setting a hook. If you like it, you're gonna want more of that. And like, so there's some of the episodes I'm like, I don't know what the hell that game is, but I want more. I'm not even the gamer per se like that, but like I want more of that content. And so far I haven't even finished the whole series, but the ones I have are great. Even like the Warhammer one, even though that was, I think it was a great introduction to the craziness that is Warhammer. Which Warhammer for me is like one of those things where I'm like, it just elbows its way into my space. That's not my thing, but I'm like, Jesus, like everybody around me is speaking English. I guess I gotta speak English a little bit too. And that's how Warhammer seems to be. But overall, that's my main jam. I'm actually like, when you start Googling like voice actors, and you're like, and in the case of the D&D one, I'm like, oh man, has anybody built characters that, have they figured out what these characters would be like in the, yeah, that's got me totally stoked.
I went and saw the movie Heart Eyes.
What the?
Heart Eyes is a slasher film.
Okay.
I guess sort of the modern slasher film genre begins with like John Carpenter's Halloween. And as a result of that, I guess, there's this long tradition of slasher films taking place on holidays. It's just
Okay,
a
yeah.
thing. So for Valentine's Day, there was this thing called Heart Eyes. And it's called that, I guess, because he's got like a mask with heart-shaped eyes, like the
Oh,
emoticon.
oh, really?
Yeah. And he kills on like Valentine's Day. So it is a cross between a romantic comedy and a slasher film.
Oh.
All right. So it's not great. It's not that funny for a
Oh.
romantic comedy, and it's not that scary for a horror film. I think someone said this would be a great idea. men will like it because of the horror stuff, and all the women will like it because of the romantic comedy. And so it sort of fails at both by trying to do both, right?
Impressive.
But it still succeeds in one way, which is if you are someone, and this is a very small set of people, of which I am one, if you are someone who likes both of those genres, you know, it is like comfort food because it gives you all the beats of both of them. Okay, there's going to be a jump scare in 5 minutes here, and boom, there's the jump scare, and then it's got the meet cute in the coffee house. And in fact, there's one point in time where it name checks like 30 romantic comedies in 30 seconds or something like that.
Wow.
It's self-aware, but it's also kind of predictable in that I didn't know anything about it, and I watched the trailer before I went into the movie on YouTube. And in the comments section of the trailer, someone says, "Oh, everybody's saying the killer is going to be this, but what if the killer's actually blah blah blah?" And they were right. It's predictable, but if you like those two genres and are comfortable with like them in that, it gives you exactly what you want. So there's going to be bloody deaths, there's going to be like a point in which the couple has the big fight and like one of them has to come back and grovel, to get the other one back. It's got all of the things. It's got all of the things from both of those genres. You will like it if you like that. I thought it was an enjoyable time passing movie, and I'm glad that I watched it. I hesitate to recommend it because there are so many people who are going to hate it.
It's like Hallmark.
Did you not see the Hallmark Saturday Night Live sketch?
No. No.
All right. I'm going to pause our recording and send you the link to that because you got to watch that. It's only a few minutes long. Hang on. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So, but like, okay, what goes hard though is it's like the only thing women like more than romance is murder. And I'm like, oh my
It's
God.
so true.
Uh, all the makeup and murder, creators, out there, okay, well, really, okay. So I love that, but I will tell you, my introduction to this mashup was from a creator. I think her name's Stanzi, and really hilarious. Doing, oh, man, I need to look it up and know the name, but it's a single person sketch, where they play both parts or whatever. They play all the parts. So
Right.
yeah, totally great. But I love this, and I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, why not? Why not throw in a little bit of that stuff there for, uh, you know, we can all sup from the same cup. Why not?
All right. Okay, so let's get into today's movie, 1 Million BC from 1940, starring Carol Landis and Lon Chaney Jr.
1 million BC erupts on the screen with volcanic excitement. 1 million BC, when the earth parted and the mountains fell. Primitive man and monstrous beasts fought each other to inherit the earth. Not since time began has the primitive scene been captured for the screen with such imaginative realism. Behold man 1 million BC. See Loana the Fair One, who deserted her tribe and risked her life to follow Tumak of the Rock People, as big and strong as the beasts he fought for survival. See the fascinating, strange, and fearful creatures who roamed and ruled the earth 1 million BC. will share the unending thrills and excitement of a world of primitive wonders, of primeval terror and savagery. You will indeed live in another world, in another time, as the centuries fall back to reveal the Earth 1 million BC.
So, real quick, a background to the year before this came out. So, May of 1939, May 14th, Lena Medina, a 5-year-old Peruvian girl, gave birth to a baby boy, becoming the youngest confirmed mother in medical history.
No,
Yeah,
no,
her
no.
son, yep, her son Gerardo died in 1979. He was 40 years old or something. Lena is still alive to this day.
What?
Yeah, she's still alive. And to this day, she has never revealed who the father was. So there we go.
Okay, that Eric, that's a little that's a lot right there. Okay, go ahead, man.
All right. June 17th, the last public execution in France takes place, with murderer Eugene Weidmann being guillotined. So this is the last use of the guillotine. July 1st, 1939, the first World Science Fiction Convention is held in conjunction with the New York World's Fair.
Okay, where's the horrible part?
There's no horrible part.
Okay.
August, Operation Himmler. Nazi German troops posing as Poles stage a series of false flag operations on the border, providing a pretext for Germany's invasion of Poland. It's 1940. There's not going to be a lot of good stuff going on. 1939, 1940. September 28th of 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union agree to divide Poland after their invasion. October 2nd, the Battle of Hell ends. The Battle of Kock begins, marking the last battles of the invasion of Poland. Hey, this is real. I'm not making these names up. I see your face. I know you want to say something about the Battle of Hell and the Battle of Kock.
If there's anything needs to be said, I mean,
November 20th, DC Comics publishes Flash Comics #1, featuring the first appearances of The Flash and Hawkman.
wow, both of them.
December 28th, issue number 52 of More Fun Comics features the first appearance of the Spectre.
Wait a second, the Spectre,
Yeah.
Man of Mystery, or like
The supernatural entity that was created
Sure.
by Siegel and Schuster.
Okay.
Yeah. January 14th of 1940, FBI agents arrest 17 members of the Christian Front for planning a vast plot to overthrow the U.S. government and establish a fascist Christian dictatorship. The charges are described as, quote, a bit fantastic by Attorney General Robert Jackson, and they are eventually dropped. This is 1940, mind you, January. February 7th, the Walt Disney animated film Pinocchio premieres at Center Theater in New York City. March 1st of 1940, Adolf Hitler orders his generals to create a plan for the invasion of Norway and Denmark. April 5th of 1940, 1 million BC premieres.
I think this is you said some great context, because there is going to be some things. So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about 1 million BC. So the producer, Hal Roach, originally brought D.W. Griffith aboard to make this film. He supposedly wrote a script based on the French novel by Eugene Rocher. I don't know how you say the name. However, stuff didn't go smoothly between him and Roach, and he eventually left the project. Roach later claimed that some scenes in the final film were directed by Griffith, but the cast remembers him only doing screen tests and costume tests. And when Roach promoted the film in late 1939 and listed Griffith as the producer, Griffith asked them to take his name off. The movie got nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Musical Score by Werner R. Heyman and Best Special Effects by Roy Seawright and Elmer Ragus. As for the dinosaurs and prehistoric mammals you see in the film, there's quite a mix.
Oh my God.
A pig in a rubber triceratops costume, a guy in an Allosaurus suit, Asian elephants with fake tusks and fur to look like mastodons, a couple
Yes.
of dogs, Brahman cattle disguised with fake horns and fur to look like muskoxen, a baby sun bear, a six-banded armadillo with glued-on horns, a baby a baby alligator sporting a Dimetrodon-like sail,
Yeah.
a rhinoceros, iguana, a snake, a coati, a monitor lizard, an anole, and an Argentine black and white tegu. Critics have mixed feelings about the film. I'm not going to go into the reviews, but they run the range. Some footage from this movie, along with unused scenes and outtakes, basically ended up as stock footage in the stock footage library. Over the years, it's been used in dozens and dozens and dozens of movies for dinosaur effects. Even a handful of westerns used rock slides and volcanoes from this film. Because of this, you can spot this movie footage popping up in lots of films from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, especially, but it still ends up in things today. Unfortunately, there's some pretty harsh scenes involving animal cruelty, like a young American alligator with a glued on Dimetrodon like sail that's made to fight a black and white tegu, ends up getting hurt.
They have animals like, it's like, all right, fight to the death, go, go, go. I mean, it's like, I'm like, wait, is this happening? This is happening. Wait,
Yeah.
and like, wait, did that thing just murk that snake like a lot, like on screen? Like that looks like that really just happened, which makes for good special effects in a horrible way.
This film basically prompted the Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the SPCA, to ban a lot of these treatment practices.
This is like okay, look, we didn't have any limits on this shit before because we didn't think we needed them. But you have convinced us we need limits on this stuff. We didn't think anybody would do something like that. And so it was messed up.
So we have had some downer history and some downer background to this production.
Right?
Let's get a little bit more upbeat here.
Martin Music Center carries a complete line of the finest musical instruments and supplies. Exclusive dealer for Hammond, Cable, and Melloid grand organs and pianos. Let Russ Parrish, manager, or Earl Nicola show you the beautiful new models of Hammond organs. Class instruction by the talented teaching staff makes learning easy and fun. So for all of your musical needs, visit Martin's Music Center, 537 North Columbus Street.
It's 5 minutes till showtime.
The good news about this snack pairing is that, I mean, okay, I'm not sure if this is a snack, but I'm gonna call it a snack. It's meat. And okay, so look, there's a lot of meat going on in this movie. All right. Even the meat cute. No. But no, the real key is since it's supposed to depict, these primitive people, I don't even think they show them skinning, taking the hair off or whatever. Certainly not skinning these things. I'm just going to say, we're not going to eat anything with the hair on. I'm not going down that road, but I can't recommend that. But what I can recommend with unequivocally is that you would eat a nice piece of pork with the skin on. Now, that is not normally something you see happening a lot in our, day and age. We know a lot. I mean, I think it's maybe specific to different cultures. I didn't have that growing up, but once I discovered it, it's amazing. So you can get a skin-on pork roast, right? The simplest thing is you cook it like a pork roast in the oven. You get this amazing skin. If you think that sounds, well, think of it sort of like it's like, you got bacon, you have the rind on it. All of the bacon is good. Some people don't eat the rind, whatever. But it's also the equivalent of cracklins or basically chicharrones. That's a good part of the animal, and we don't have to eat the hair, so we're pretty far along there. My the easiest, straightforward recipe is 350 in the oven, pork roast. Take that pork roast because straightforward, simple. You stab the crap out of it. You take some Tony's seasoning. It comes in the green container, right? It's the stuff that when you use it, you sneeze every time when you first sneeze it because it's just filled with like pepper, red pepper and stuff. So you take that, you stab the crap out of this meat, and you shove some of that into the holes and rub it all over. If you have some garlic cloves, stick those in the holes, put it in the oven, cook at the temp. I'm not gonna tell you, but cook at the temp, and look up the temp because if you're an older person, raised in an older time like myself, you would think, oh yeah, no, you got to cook the crap out of the pork. Not true. There are good temperatures that you can cook to, and you'll have a better experience. And then once you get it cooked to temp, I like to cover it and let it rest, slice, and just go to town. Get a nice barbecue sauce on the side, but you're gonna already have great flavor if you use the Tonys. We're gonna see some scenes in the film where people are like, they're like going to town, man. Like they're covered, they got stuff all the way up to their eyebrows and stuff. This is how you recreate that.
So, as you probably know, I am a huge fan of fried chicken. And fried chicken just wouldn't be the same if it didn't have the skin, like the crispy skin on it, right?
Right?
Okay, but with with when you fry a chicken, like if you're gonna fry a whole chicken or whatever, you gotta pluck the feathers off of it, right? So you
Right.
pluck it first and then you fry it. Now I'm wondering with a pig, does somebody have to shave the pig? How do you get rid of the hair?
They absolutely have to shave the pig. They literally will take what they do is that this is tradition style. Industrial. I don't really know, but basically, you use boiling hot water. Okay, so you're boiling hot water because it's dead. It's not alive. Okay, boiling hot water to prep the skin, and then you scrape all of those hairs off. You're basically shaving that sucker, and I mean, how can I put this? It's like that's not exactly the most. That sounds like fun, but the outcome, magnifique. You know, uh, I don't. We have a lot of things where like I'm like, look, I'm not eating a lot of internal organs unless they're made into sausage, so I don't know. But when it comes to this particular external organ, pig skin is the shit. It is amazing. It is.
It's up there with chicken.
It is up. See, up there with chicken. That's what my wife says. It's like yes, you will be like, why haven't we been eating this part? And you have because when you have like bacon, you have a really good piece of bacon, they include that. It's just that's like right on the edge, right?
Right.
It's a delicious part.
And now, on with the show.
Okay. Let's jump into talking about the film itself.
Woots.
1940. So this is the same year as Fantasia.
Right.
It's directed by Hal Roach, as we said.
and Hal Roach Jr.
And Hal Roach Jr.
Nepotism, baby.
And it stars
On Chaney.
Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
So there's two juniors involved here. It opens with this scene that they never come back to. It's just like the introduction to this. There's a narrator, and then it's basically there's a group of hikers, and they're seeking shelter during a storm in a cave.
Yeah.
Where they happen to run into an anthropologist who's in the cave, and he's explaining the prehistoric carvings and paintings on the wall to one of the guys. And he starts by telling the story to the whole group about a young caveman. Now, what's really interesting to me here is they look like an Oompa Oompa band. Like they look like a polka band, like that, like decided to like go to this cave. I'm not sure why. Like,
Yeah. So listeners, if you've seen The Sound of Music, That's what they're dressed like. They have this traditional Bavarian looking outfits, the hat with the feather, the sort of weird
Lederhosen, yeah.
lederhosen. Yeah, they're wearing all of that. I'm like, is this just like hiking gear for
No, who
1940?
hikes in that? Who hikes in leather pants? I don't know.
I'm like, were they mountaineers?
I don't know if maybe like they showed up and there's like we need costumes and this is what we've got, Like, I
I
don't
honestly, I thought at first I thought I'm like, is this gonna be like a weird time travel thing? And it kind of is, sort of.
yeah, basically he's the anthropologist starts relating the story about Akoba, leader of the rock tribe, hunting,
Yeah.
and his son Tumak, who is about to make his first kill.
Now, and to be clear, they are the same actors. They're just now they're talking about the people in the past, and then they portray the people in the past, and then that's about they. We never, like you said, we never go back to the present. Whatever. So
I think maybe they decided that they just needed like they couldn't jump straight into like the ancient past for modern audiences in 1940
right.
because that would be too weird. Like they hadn't
Oh, yeah,
experienced that.
no,
So
no, that's a good point. They actually have a lot of framing where it's like, well, professor, what about this? What do they actually? What people in the ancient past actually had? They had. I just always thought of them as brutes, and yeah, so it was a whole like, okay, we got to introduce you to this. I think modern audiences, you might think about it this way: when we first started seeing a lot of superhero movies, they had a lot of it. You'd have to have their everything in there. But like the last time we introduced Spider-Man, we skipped his origin story and just went straight to him.
thank God, because how
Thank
many
God.
times have they made the origin story of Spider-Man? It's like it's there's nobody who knows who Spider-Man is who doesn't know the origin story, right?
Right.
We don't need that filmed again. Tell us a different Spider-Man story. There are so many, you
But,
know?
but you know what? This is I mean, I don't know. Is Eric, was this a genre defining film? You know, caveman, dinosaurs.
I think so. There aren't a lot of previous ones
Mm,
where we've seen a bunch of previous dinosaur ones,
yeah.
but usually if the humans go back to the past or go to some lost world,
Right.
this actually takes place in the past, a past that never existed, where when, humans and
Saying, Eric, I thought that was a very, very realistic depiction of our prehistoric
oh, we'll get more into this as we go along. But okay, Tumac wrestles and kills a small triceratops. It's like a tiny triceratops.
Yeah.
And I later found out it's because it was a pig. Like, and my favorite YouTube comment on this was somebody was like, I think they said they won an Oscar for this, and they put
um,
a pig in a triceratops costume. Don't give up on your dreams.
okay, we're laughing, but honestly, I was like, "What the hell? That looks really good." Oh wait, so I'm like, what is that stop motion? What's going on here? No, I mean they're like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, I
we,
think,
we have the technology, we can
yeah,
rebuild him.
yep. So this hunting party returns to the Rock Tribe cave with the now dead Triceratops, and they cook it and they share it in a ranked feeding order, which leads to a conflict between Tumac and Akoba.
Okay, and I want to point out two things. They go out of their way to show how uh, brutal they are. For one thing, I don't know. My wife was very Becca was very like they wouldn't have dogs like that. They wouldn't have evolved. So he has two dogs. The leader has two dogs, right? And having a dog is obviously like a prestige thing. But like um, on their way back, one of their number falls into a hole, hurts himself, and like cripples himself, and they just leave him. They just absolutely
Yeah,
leave him and go on. They're like, oh, that's too bad. And then,
only the strong survive.
yes,
It's Nietzsche. Okay, in 1940. In 1940, right?
right. But you know what? Here's the other part, though. When we get back to the cave, who eats first? The dogs eat before anybody else except the leader. I think he might even fed them first, but the dogs eat before the other people. He puts the dogs ahead of his son, all these other people. He's on, yeah.
Okay,
That's how bad it is.
I'm surprised that that the first comment about what was not historically accurate had to do with the dogs. But let me just say, historical accuracy is not necessarily something I'm looking for in a film like this. For example, speaking of shaving things, the cave women here shave their legs and their pits. All right, I approve of this. Like, it works for me.
I think it's a missed opportunity to show the discovery of shaving, but I don't know, whatever. We can't do everything in a film. We'll talk about this later, but I feel like this genre, untapped potential.
So Tumac's knocked off a cliff by a cobra, and when he recovers, he encounters a mastodon, and he gets away from it by climbing up a tree. Now, by mastodon, we mean an elephant with like fur glued on it or something.
Again, I was like, wow, that looks really, oh my gosh, they did. They just,
Yeah. Although this might not be qualify as animal cruelty because they probably just use spirit gum, just like they put makeup on humans, and
right.
the elephant probably didn't care.
And did get to chase somebody, so.
But we do see other real animals in this, like a monitor lizard, which they use in forced perspective to look. And that one's actually pretty good because I don't think there's any animal cruelty involved in that. But then there's also an armadillo with a spike glued on its head, which I'm not sure. Maybe there were giant primitive armadillos. I wouldn't be surprised if there were.
Oh, that makes sense. It was really cute, though.
It was cute. The mastodon knocks down this tree, and it ends up with Tumac hitting the water and falling unconscious, and he floats downstream, where Loana of the Shell tribe rescues him.
Yes. I mean, I think this is, so can we start calling him Moses? No, that's probably a stretch. But anyway, all right, yeah. She finds us, and finders keepers. So
Yep. So she takes him back to the Shell tribe. Then we get to see how they're more civilized. They have a meal that's like not everybody like who can grab the food as fast as they can. It's like served out in an order, and Tumac totally doesn't understand this.
he's like, grab, gimme. What? Why you guys looking at me like I'm crazy? This is how we eat, right? And they're like, no. You take and you pass it until everybody has some, and but there's this underlying idea. Okay, I gotta back up for a second. This is like coded into our society. Let me be clear: there are no black people, no brown people in this at all. But Tumac's society, his whole tribe, they're all dark haired. Okay, and then when you get to the Shell, the Shell, there are more fair haired. It's just baked in. I think the first time you and I went during all these series where it's like, wow, okay, I see you. I see what you did there was all the way back to Fire and Ice.
Yep.
Yeah, so but it's just like baked into Western civilization. And so even it's like, well, we don't have any brown people, but these people have dark hair. Clearly they are the brutes. All right, moving on.
Well, also I think it's like it's a shorthand way for the audience to know who belongs to which tribe.
Yep.
So it's like I think of like the movie Helen of Troy or whatever, where all of the Trojans were blonde and all of the Greeks had like brown hair or dark hair, and
Yeah.
so like even though that they would both have dark hair, it was just an easy way of spotting, okay, that person's a Trojan, that person's a Greek.
Yeah, in fairness, there is this whole thing where it's like, we in any given society, you are aware of your own differences. Like to me, it's like, well, that person, we're not gonna know difference looking as like, well, that guy is from here and that guy's from there.
They probably thought we could show this with dress, but like skins look like skins, especially in black and white.
Well, they actually do show him a little bit because the Cell tribe, and even our rock man, when they dress, they're wearing like Peter Pan gimlets, with little fringe and stuff, instead of furs. They're much more they're more refined. I don't know how they made these like cloth dress out of skins, but they managed to do it. Like,
Yeah.
they know how to do things. They know how to fish. They know food. They know how to dig things out of the earth and eat it. They don't. All the rock people know is death.
So speaking of the rock people and death, Akoba is injured hunting a muskox, and they leave him behind. And another younger guy takes over. But Akoba isn't actually dead, and he shows up at the Shell Tribe cave.
No, at the rock cave.
Yeah.
His wife or something like brings him and takes care of him. But he's like at the bottom of the barrel now. He's like
Yep.
he gets the scraps now. He was king, and now he's beneath the dog.
Meanwhile, Tumac is starting to like adapt to civilization. He helps the kids gather fruit from the tree by climbing it and shaking it, and he tries to learn spear fishing.
Eh,
He eventually kills an Allosaurus.
He shows great bravery, kills the Allosaurus.
Then he tries to keep the spear which was somebody else's spear that he killed the Allosaurus with. And Luana gives it back to the guy who it belongs to. And this turns into a fight when he tries to steal it. And so he's basically exiled from the Shell People tribe.
Yes, it is. It's interesting because I'm like, he does have a point. Y'all, he had, you could have been using the spear because he used the spear to save a little girl, but maybe he should have the spear, and maybe this is the Dungeons and Dragons guy in me, but like, I'm like, bro, clearly you made the spear, make another spear, but this guy over here, you give him a spear, we're gonna be eating dinosaur for days. It's just a team game, man. Let's do it. So he had a point, but they're
Yeah.
like, no, you can't be beating people up over their stuff, and fair.
So he's exiled, and Loana decides to go with him
Yeah.
and leave the tribe. So this leads to a bunch of different encounters along the way to go back to the Rock Tribe. And this brings us to our Dino Battle of the Week. I don't know if this is technically a dino battle, but in the context of the movie, it's a dino battle. It's basically an alligator with a sail on its back versus a lizard. So I don't know what dinos they are. It's Dimetrodon versus we'll call it an iguanodon.
Right.
The alligator is the winner here.
Yeah. It is pretty horrific. The gator is like literally. This is real. This like so it like bites and does a death roll on it. They are going to town, and I'm like, I don't know. Did you not? I don't even think because they didn't feed them. I must have. Maybe they didn't feed one of them. It really bothered Becca. It bothered me a little bit too. And she said apparently they had some kind of device that goad them into fighting. So again, when you go so far that people are like, we need rules now. We didn't think anybody would do that. This is that. So, I mean, it's already done. These animals are long passed away from this earth. I don't think there's a moral problem with watching this, but if it bothers you to watch animals murder each other for your amusement, maybe don't watch that part. I don't know. Just saying.
All right, so they hid out in a little fissure while this battle happened.
Yeah.
They get separated briefly here. She uses her conch shell to signal for help. Tumac comes, rescues her from the Rock Tribe who was attacking her.
Like, hey, look, a woman that we've never seen before.
Yeah. They end up back at the Rock Tribe cave. This is where we get another classic battle. We've talked about Allosaurus versus Triceratops. We've talked about, I think in the past, we've even talked about the classic giant squid versus sperm whale fight or whatever. This is another classic fight, the blonde versus brunette fight. We will revisit the blonde versus brunette fight many times in these films.
Yeah.
I think this is a draw, really.
It really is.
It's hard to say who won this battle.
It's all a misunderstanding, but I think the important thing is that Loana is generous, and because she has Tomac, and Tomac is packing a spear. Just a note: these other guys, Tomac's tribe, they don't have spears.
They have sticks. They have big sticks.
He's fit. He's strong. Now he's dominating everything, and he's imposing some of the stuff he learned. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So they have another meal, and Luana like starts introducing the custom of like, we're gonna feed the women and children first, and that kind of thing. Fast forward here a little bit. As always happens in these things, the volcano erupts. Like, I feel like this is a trope that has to happen in every one of these. The volcano erupts. I think, wasn't there even a volcano erupting in like the Ice Age movie?
I
Like,
think what? Well,
yeah,
it's like okay, we need conflict, and that's easy. Okay. Oh, and I thought they were for sure they're going to be like, oh, you see, you started this new crap, and now the gods are angry. You have this all sharing and stuff, and it's like, and now look what happened. But that's not what happened.
I'm guessing that like volcanoes didn't erupt any more frequently in dinosaur times than they did now, but it's just that dinosaur times was like millions and millions of years, and we're compressing them really small. So it's like you know, if you did that nowadays, it would seem like volcanoes erupt every minute.
Right. It's like we're gonna press 5 years into 1 year. It's like that's 5 winners, man. Dang, that's a lot of winners. But no.
So during this eruption, it destroys the rock tribe cave, and everybody runs away. And we see like people like getting overcome by lava flows, and Luana saves a child whose mother dies in a lava flow, and that actually looked pretty real. Like,
Yeah, no, they did a good job with that stuff.
but it means Tumac and Luana like end up separated. He finds a scrap of her clothing and thinks she's dead.
Yeah. Oh no.
And then we get the giant iguana.
Oh wow, yeah, they did bring that.
A Shell tribesman tells Tumac that Luana's alive but trapped in a cave by a iguana-like dinosaur. And it's basically an iguana shot in forced perspective, so it looks like a giant iguana. So he gets all the rock tribe to go attack the dinosaur, and then Tumac fails to kill it, but Akoba gives a distraction while the others create a rock slide.
Yeah, so Kova, this is a this is like this is propaganda to tell you another thing, to tell you that maybe we shouldn't be just like strongest survive because Akova's all crippled up, but he's watching the fight and he's like, and they're losing, right? And he's like, oh wait, listen to me, hear me out. What if we did a distraction, we did a rock slide, and they're like, oh, good idea. So yeah, it gives you like maybe we should honor our elders and not just kill them as soon as you were strong enough to.
Yeah.
Liberal crap.
And then this basically leads to a unification of the two tribes, and the story ends with Tumac and Luana and their child that they adopted, against the dawn of a new day.
Yeah.
And that's the end right there. I gotta say, this movie's almost a silent movie. There's not a whole lot of talking, which makes sense rather than come up with caveman speech. And the soundtrack, the scoring over top of all of it, it's like one step removed from a silent film. Like it sounds like the soundtracks of old silent films.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when in a world where it's like, we just got this stuff. It almost, it's kind of daring, really. It's like, okay, I'm actually interested. I gotta look into the the novel that this came from because I'm like, oh, therein lies some of the, whatever. Where did that guy get his stuff? Where do they get their thing? Because it's when you start tracing this stuff back, I'm like, watching this movie, I'm like, wow, okay, I see all these tropes that moved on forward, and this is probably the earliest I've seen of where they originated from. Yeah, I love that. When I was a kid, Quest for Fire came out, and that was a big deal.
Yeah,
yeah, and now that I know about this movie, I'm like, oh, they were definitely inspired. I mean, freaking Flintstones were inspired by this. It just goes on and on. There's something like stuff where it's like, oh, the crudes, oh yeah, oh my gosh, down to in the movie everything explodes. There's so many. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. What are your final thoughts about this?
I literally laughed out loud in places, probably not for the reasons I was supposed to. I gasped in places, probably not for the reasons I was supposed to. The stars are beautiful. They're like really, gorgeous people, but very not enough scars though. I'm not just kidding. No, but like, yeah, I thumbs up. Absolutely, it was edifying, and I definitely understand like why it launched 1,000 ships. Makes
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm going to give a very qualified thumbs up. It's good as a movie, but you really gotta give it a pass on the whole animal cruelty part in order to enjoy it, because there's not just a little, there's a bunch of it.
There is a
So
bunch of it. No, absolutely 100%. That is, it is one of those like, okay, we are, in a way, it's a salvage operation in that sense. It's like, okay, that happened. They did that. All right, can I set that aside enough to think about it, objectively? And, for me, I can. And, the thing is like to get the good stuff out of it, as we see going forward, is get the good stuff out of it. You don't have to repeat that mistake. You don't have to do that again.
yeah, yeah. And it was remade, and we'll be talking about that on a future episode.
Whoops.
Until next time, this is Eric
And this is Will.
signing off.
All right, eat your meats. And you shove some of that into the holes and rub it all over.